Welcome everyone to Bet What Happens Live. We are at the 2-minute warning of the NFC Conference Championship game between the Detroit Lions and San Francisco 49ers. Detroit leads 21-7, and joining me today, I have Detroit Lions fan, my fellow predictive analytics colleague, Billy Ward, and professional bettor, Simon Hunter. Hello, Simon.
Hello, my
Guys,
brother.
I'm gonna throw it to you first, Billy. What are your thoughts on this game so far? And if you have any early bets you're considering, give them to me.
Yeah, it's hard to even imagine that we're actually in this situation right now. I didn't really picture as optimistic as I tried to be that it would go this well. On the other hand, it's kind of what I expected the Lions to do, which is just run the crap out of the ball against, the weakness of the 49ers defense. Little surprised that San Fran is insisting on continuing to run the ball with it not really working all that well, but Detroit's getting good pressure up front. So early looks for me are, Lions running back overs, especially Montgomery. We were talking off air. He gets just so much more of the looks when the Lions are leading. And assuming they're able to go up even, a field goal more before halftime, should be a lot more Montgomery than Gibbs in the second half.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And, right now he has 60 rushing yards, 20 receiving yards. So 80 total yards for David Montgomery. He's been an absolute workhorse. And we're projecting him for, if we look at rushing plus receiving yards for full game, we're projecting him around 113. I'm trying to see what we have here, maybe for rushing plus receiving yards on Montgomery, if I can find it anywhere. There we go. Plus rushing, plus receiving. We have 115 out there, and I'm showing pretty much right on there because the Lions have the ball right now. So we'd expect them to Montgomery to be a little over my projections. So we're right in line with the market there. Unfortunately, on Montgomery, the books are appropriately adjusting, I think.
Yeah, I'm more interested in the rushing only, I think, assuming this game script holds the way we think it's going to. Not that they won't throw him the ball, even playing from in front, they'll still run their screens and things like that. But it'll mostly be running.
Yeah, exactly. So, Simon, what are your thoughts as well? I know, you've been enjoying this one so far.
Yeah, dream scenario. If you bet the Lions plus 7.5 and took their money line, it's all breaking our way right now. If you took that number, and even if they do punt here, the Lions, it's like, okay, well now they're punting back to Purdy, who needs to pass the ball down the field, and he can't do that right now. Like between the pressure they're getting outside, and he's just not feeling comfortable. He's had guys open, right? We were just talking before it came on air. Like he's had receivers open. He's just not really taking advantage of it right now. So he's clearly tight. He's nervous, and it's my favorite. Evan stat. Shanahan down at half. He's 12-36 in his career at ATS. 12-36 straight up. So we got the data. This man is when he's playing behind with these bad quarterbacks. I don't want to call Purdy bad. Sorry about that. Just
right. I know what you mean.
below the highest level.
Not the elitist of elite. Yeah.
Yes. So you're going to see here, like when I'm looking at these bets, I mean, right, we're going to see what they do on this drive. How do you not kind of like the under, right? It's like people are going to be coming on the over. I think this is about to be explosive. I think we're all in agreement, right? They're going to start running the ball the second half. So a lot of betting options depending on how you want to play this one in the second half.
Yeah, definitely. And Billy, I'm interested in your thoughts because your article, you said, well, maybe overs with a Lions lead, but we're getting into potentially 3-score territory, at least a solid 2-score territory here with the Lions leading.
There's that, but also the total just rose too high. Like I was, talking with our editor off air after the first Lions touchdown. The Lions scored 7 points, like 5-ish minutes came off the board, and the total jumped 7 points. So like you take that out, it's like we're now playing a shorter game and we're saying we need just as many points. Yeah. I think the books have probably overcorrected to that a little bit. The Lions being up, them running more in San Francisco, throwing more, in theory helps the over, but not if we're going to juice it up 8 to 10 points the way we're seeing now. So that does make it tough.
Yeah. Plus there is, just a little bit of a slowdown in the pace splits, which could be made up for, like you said, in the game script where technically it favors the more efficient side of the offenses, right? Because San Francisco running into that number 1 Lions rush DVOA would be if they were leading, but trailing, it's a little bit easier for them to move the ball. But the game does, relative to NFL averages, when at least a team is leading by at least a score, does tend to slow down just a touch between these two teams. So I do think, like you said, total rose high. We have a little bit of a potential for slower pace. And I could definitely see Dan Campbell playing the side of things where, okay, we have a big lead. Let's shorten the game and let's sit on this.
Yeah, and it feels like that third score is a imaginary line probably that once that's
Yeah.
crossed, then you really shift. You know, you go up 2 scores against the 49ers. They're getting the ball at halftime. I don't think you're really trying to sit on that one. You make it 3, though. You think, well, can we keep them from getting 3 possessions the whole second half or
Just got
only
a big
3?
first down. Big first down by Lions.
Huge first down.
So
Yeah.
now they're probably going to be up. I mean, at least get a field goal here. Wow. I mean, what a game. Like this is if you're a Lions better, you literally it's just like a Chiefs game, right? If you're a Chiefs better, the game couldn't have broke better for you. Same here with the Lions. They're outplaying them right now, and Ben Johnson is in his bag. Like this is crazy to watch. Like he just every little play is there's an open guy, right? If it's not there deep, Goff is happy to jump it off right now to his tight ends and running backs, and it's working. Like it is working against his 49ers team. So I'm on St. Brown. What a play to get this first down right now. And yeah, they're in complete control right now, this Lions team. They might score 7 right before half.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And, one bet I want to consider here, because like you mentioned, the 49ers are going to have the ball here in the second half to start. They could potentially get the ball here in this 2-minute drill. Christian McCaffrey right now has 3 receptions. We're projecting him for just over 4 rest of game, which would give him just over 7. And right now, there's 6.5 minus 110 to the over. Right now, I'm betting Christian McCaffrey over 6.5 receptions minus 110. You can get that at DraftKings. So that's going to be the first bet we're actually locking in here on Bet What Happens Live, just because a lot of circumstances in favor of this, right? San Francisco going to throw. Detroit struggles a little more against the pass. We have San Francisco potentially get the ball back before the end of the half and start with the ball in the second half. So a lot of factors to like the over on Christian McCaffrey, 6.5 receptions. He already has 3, and we're projecting a little more than 4 for the rest of the game, not even including some of these extra factors like potentially double possession time here coming up.
Yeah, and like you just said it, right? They're going to be in hurry up. If they get the ball back here with 30 seconds, he'll be out there, right? They like him in the spot. So I don't mind betting that right now. How much is it really going to move if they don't get the ball before half, right? I feel like you're getting good value
Exactly.
here. Just playing the numbers that they could get the ball before half here, and he might get 1 or 2 catches. Just dumping it off, right? That's going to be the play before half here.
Yeah, exactly. You got to dump it off and get out of bounds because the Niners only have 1 timeout. So that's a spot where, you're going to look to the sidelines, shorter passes or outs. And it's something that like doesn't favor a George Kittle almost in this spot, but does favor maybe somebody like a McCaffrey or whether it's Debo or Ayuk, a guy, receiver who can just play on the sidelines there.
I'm glad you mentioned that because I wanted to ask Simon, what do you think about, the outside receivers for the 49ers in the second half? I am shocked that the Detroit defense has held up this well with how bad their secondary is. It feels like the obvious answer is, overs on Ayuk and Debo and stuff like that, but that's not what we're seeing this game. So from like, a ball knowing standpoint, what are you seeing with that?
The interesting thing is Ayuk's been open. I mean, Debo has obviously played well, but Ayuk has been burning his guy. He's either been off target or Hutchinson's batting it down at the line. There's one play that really sticks out where he was wide open. Hutchinson just waited, right? He just stood there, watched Purdy's eyes. He didn't even rush and just swatted it down. It's like, that's the issue they're running into right now, where Shanahan loves those quick plays, right? He does the fake to McCaffrey, quick turn back, and then throws fast. The Lions are all over it. Like they've had 2 bat downs that are just off those plays. So
I will say Ayuk only has 11 receiving yards right now. Does 69.5 feel inflated to you guys?
Wow.
Yeah, that's where I was going with that.
Because we're showing 60% to the under on that. So I think even though San Francisco is going to potentially have the ball here a couple times, I think we got to roll with Brandon Ayuk under 69.5. That just seems way too high. Simon mentioned he's been getting open, and I agree, but Brock Purdy has also not been maybe the regular season Brock Purdy that we've seen. You look at last week, you look so far today. I'm kind of thinking we should bet that. What do you think?
Yeah.
Love it.
All right, we're going to go for our second bet here on Bet What Happens Live. Brandon Ayuk under 69.5 receiving yards. If you ended up with 69, that'd be totally nice. I wouldn't complain about that. But under 69.5 receiving yards for Brandon Ayuk. Make sure you're shopping that around. I'm seeing a minus 110 out there, minus 115. So whatever book you have available to you, if you have 69.5, that is totally fine. Real quick, I'm just going to take a look at chat and see if we've got any questions here. I don't see. If you are in chat, if you're watching here on YouTube, first of all, give us a thumbs up for doing this show and having live betting for these playoff games, because there's not a whole lot of opportunity to bet left in this NFL season. So give us the thumbs up on that. But second of all, if you have questions, player props specifically around touchdowns, yardage, receptions, passing yards, etc., drop those in chat and we'll be able to get to those. But guys, what do we have going on now? So I saw Simon make a face there. I'm just looking over.
Basically, Detroit's just, again, Ben Johnson's in his bag right now. Every little play they're making is so smart. On third down, back-to-back plays, Amon St. Brown, who's been, a top 3, top 4 receiver this season, has come up huge for them. And it's just, they're not forcing these plays. Like, he's just been saving these plays for these key third downs. Now, they had 2nd and goal. They run it, eating the clock up now. They are in total control. They'll have one more play for either a touchdown or they'll kick a field goal on 4th down. It's just, it couldn't have played out better if you were Lions better. And this, obviously, for us, will give us opportunity heading into halftime where it's like, okay, now we can talk about game skip we're predicting, which you already know what I'm doing. I like the running backs and the under for this Detroit team. So, the game total is still at a couple books at 61.5 live. So, obviously, this next play coming up is going to be huge to that. So, you can roll the dice if you want. I'm not that kind of better. I'll wait and see how this play plays out, and then I'll bet on this total afterwards.
Yeah, Billy, what do you think about potentially the game total, right? Because that would be 33.5 more points from now. Assuming the Lions at least get a field goal, that would be 30.5. That's a lot. Now, if they get a touchdown, of course, that would make it a little harder to stay under. But just overall,
they're kicking
it
3.
seems like, and they're going to be kicking here now that it is 4th down and goal from San Francisco 3. But it's just one of those things where it just seems like that total is a little too high given the situation.
Yeah, and I want to be on the over, right? Like,
right.
The numbers, the way these teams play, it really want to be there, but it's just too high. And then the only thing that gives me pause on taking it now is the way that Purdy came out in the second half last week after having a pretty similar first half. The Lions are not the Packers. There's a lot of differences here. I think Detroit will do a better job of keeping the ball away from him than Green Bay did. So I guess where I'm going with any of that is, do we wait to see the first San Francisco drive? Because then either we get one 49ers drive off the board, or if they score, presumably a higher number. Obviously, the risk is they don't score, the number goes down 4 or 5. Yeah. But I think that's where I'm at now, is I'd rather wait to get through the first possession out of halftime before taking that under.
That looks like it's it. Yeah. So it's going to be 59.5 for the spread. They kick the field goal.
Yeah. So Detroit kicks the field goal here. They're up 24-7 on San Francisco.
Crazy.
Yeah. Who would have expected this? And just a few seconds left here in the half. So as far as the model goes, I'm going to tick it over to the second half just because it seems the most likely thing here San Francisco does just kneel it out. Maybe they'll try to return it or something, but unless they get a monster return here, I'm pretty much just going to tick the model over to the second half. Gonna go dig up the money line here just so we kind of get an idea of what the books are thinking around the probability of each team winning. So it looks like at DraftKings we have -325. This is backwards, unless maybe I need to refresh this.
I'm seeing plus 325.
There we go. So, all right. So, I just had to give a quick refresh. So -475 for Detroit at DraftKings, plus 325 for San Francisco. And then over at FanDuel, let me just give a quick refresh there. They're off the board right now at FanDuel. But using DraftKings money lines, we have an implied win probability of around 78% for Detroit, removing the juice, and 22% for San Francisco.
And if you mix in those Shanahan trends I gave you, it's like you have pretty good odds around. You have a 2 and 3 chance of winning this game right now, just based off his past history. It's like you couldn't have had a better start for Detroit right now. And everything we talked about, where it's like, not only is their offense look totally uncomfortable, the defense looks lost. Like at one point, Detroit was rushing the ball for about 10 yards per pop, right? Like they're carrying the ball 10 yards at a time. No one saw this coming. Like I knew that they were going to be weak against the run, right? Like everyone's talked all week about the 49ers did have some weaknesses on defense. None of us saw this happening, where they were running the ball with such ease right now. And it's just the two-headed monster, right? They showed the stat during the game. first team ever to have two guys have over 1,000 yards rushing, 10 touchdowns total each. It's like Detroit. I mean, Goff is playing incredible right now. I'm not saying Brown's playing incredible. It's all about the running game right now for this Detroit team.
Yeah, I agree with you. On the San Francisco side of the ball, I do want to ask this question because, we have you here, Simon and Billy, but there's a question in chat about, do we see value in McCaffrey over 60.5 rushing yards? I think it's pretty interesting because he has 29 right now. So it would just take another 32, right? I mean, essentially repeating his first half output. But of course, the game script is going to be San Francisco is going to be more rush heavy. The question is how much? Is he going to be able to break one? Because the model that, I have here is showing some value to the over of 60.5 rushing yards.
Yeah, that feels like a coin flip though, right? Just because what we talked about game script, it's like, could he break one, right? On some random, it's 2nd and 1 and they just want to get a first down. He breaks it. Of course.
Yep.
Like that's what you're betting on McCaffrey. He's that type of special player. But just predicting it out, it's like they're going to be throwing the ball. Like they're down,
Exactly.
like you said, 3 possessions in a game that Detroit is just going to run the ball in the second half. They're going to eat that clock up. So I don't hate it because of what you just said, where it's like, I honestly am looking at my live thing. It's like I got him at 70. I'm showing value towards the over, but I can't do it because it's just like I don't see it game script wise happening. It's scaring me, but I'm right with you where it's like
it's a scary one, right?
One carry.
It's a scary one, and even crazier now. It's down to 56.5, which 55.5 at FanDuel. Like it's literally plummeting as we speak. And I'm just going to be honest, guys. The median rushing yards we have for the rest of game for him is around 42, which 42 plus 29 is 71. That's way over 55.5, but this might be a spot where we're kind of a little bit like almost out of pocket here where we're in an unprecedented situation for the model. So it's like a little hard to trust that San Francisco is still going to run the ball because my model is showing like crazy value to the over here. But at the same time, it is the 49ers. They've been the best or second best NFL team this whole season, depending on where you power rate them versus the Ravens. And they certainly have the ability to come back if they play to what they've done in the regular season, which could give value to McCaffrey's over. So it's just one of those spots. Billy, I don't know what your thoughts are on this because I think it's a super interesting one where the model and the football knowledge may collide.
Well, here's the thing. You mentioned he's at 29 yards. It took him 10 carries to get there. That's 2.9 yards per carry.
True.
He's probably not going to get 10 in the second half. I mean, we can argue because they're starting with the ball who have slightly more opportunities. Yeah. But why not just go rushing and receiving or McCaffrey to score another touchdown? I haven't checked the line on that, so that could be too juiced. If he's going to get there, it's probably a big run. If he breaks a big run, it probably ends up in the end zone. If you can get better odds on him to score another touchdown or, again, take the rushing and receiving, I would rather do that than just
I like that a lot. So let's look at that. So we have 29 rushing yards, 38 receiving yards for McCaffrey. If we add our rest of game projection for his rushing and receiving yards, we're sitting really high on this compared to, so the book has 125.5. I see at FanDuel. Let me take a look at what DraftKings might have or might not have. Same number. So we are at one. Let me come back here. We are at 137. So that's a lot higher than 125.5. And San Francisco starts with the ball here. So you want to mentally adjust that up even more on our projection. So I think rushing plus receiving yards, over might look good there on McCaffrey. What do you guys think?
Yeah, there's just more ways to get there, right? Like, the Detroit goes up bigger, then they're still going to throw him the ball. He can still get there. When you're betting on just rushing or just receiving for that matter, like you're kind of also betting on the game script and you need a couple things to go right.
Exactly. So we're going to lock it in right now. We're going to take Christian McCaffrey over 125.5 rushing plus receiving yards for the 49ers here. Now, we already took McCaffrey over on receptions. We're taking his over on rushing plus receiving yards, and we took Brandon Ayuk under 69.5 receiving yards. So I believe those are our 3 bets right now so far on Bet What Happens Live. But guys, we are at halftime. So if there's anything you specifically want to look at, it's nice because the game state is no longer changing, right? We're no longer having plays that are happening. So Simon, if you were to look at a bet, you kept talking about these Detroit rushing ones. If you were to look at a bet, what would you look at right now?
I like big numbers on these anytime touchdowns, and we hit on Aaron Jones a couple weeks ago
We
with
did.
Green Bay, and this week I'm thinking I ought to get Montgomery. So I've already hit Montgomery once. I'm doubling down. Like, I love the way he's running the ball, and the fact that they do have this big lead. I mean, me and Billy were talking, like, they like to give him the ball when they have these leads because they trust the vet. Like, who are you going to trust more? I mean, obviously they want to give it to the rookie as much as they can, but historically this season, when they have leads, they like to give it to Montgomery. So the fact that he is 3-1 to get an anytime touchdown, I like that value in a run heavy second half that we expect from the Detroit team, especially the fact that they're running the ball so well. Why would anything change in the second half? Like, they're not going to want to pass the ball more. So to me, the fact that you can get Montgomery at that number, I love the value there.
So let me tag on to this because FanDuel has plus 370 for him to score 2+ touchdowns, right? Because he already has one. And they have Jahmyr Gibbs at 4-1 to score 2+. We're technically showing value on both of them. So instead of picking one or the other, I think we just do a half unit on both. And as long as one hits, we make some money, right? So that's what we're gonna do. And shop around. I'm trying to pull up as many books as I can, but it's hard all the time. But David Montgomery plus 370, Jahmyr Gibbs plus 400, half a unit on each, anytime touchdown. As long as one of those two hits, we'll be profitable on those. And there's always a chance both could hit, right? I mean, the Lions have already scored 24 points.
Give some love to my guy, Nick, thinking outside the box. You better like and subscribe right now. My man, Nick, giving you the double header here. I love that play.
There we go. Simon pumping it up. Yeah. Throw that like button, right? Guys, we've been over 10.5 units on Bet What Happens Live just in the playoffs this season. So hopefully we can continue the trend here. Billy, what were your thoughts on what we just did and maybe on any other anytime touchdowns or other things you're looking at halftime?
No, I love that because, if the game script stays the way it is, we're almost at the point where you don't want to overload David Montgomery with too many carries. Like, maybe we're almost at the point where, like, Gibbs is coming in relief, which is a wild sentence to say, like, if you told me that 2 hours ago. But, if that's where we're at, and both guys are explosive. We like to think of Montgomery as kind of this plotter, but, he's got a long rush of 15. He's 9 for 60. He's been more efficient than Gibbs this game. So, yeah, I really like where you went with that. Feels a little bit safer than just betting on one, because we'd be kicking ourselves if the other one scored at the end of the game.
Yeah. So real quick, I'm gonna address chat here because we got someone spamming. Do you see value in Montgomery rushing yards? And the line right now is 90.5. He has 60. The line is 90.5. But just as you talked about, Billy, maybe it gets to the point where they just do some more Jahmyr Gibbs. We're actually not showing value on the over 90.5. We're pretty in line with the market there. So I'm going to pass on that. I like the anytime touchdown angle better, right? Either Montgomery or Gibbs, one of those two, if they get close to the in the red zone, I think become interesting. And there's one other one I'm very interested in, and it's, he didn't score a first half touchdown, which unfortunately for me was sad because I had Sam Laporta's first half touchdown.
Okay.
Anytime touchdown, guys, 9 of his 11 touchdowns this year have come, or I should say 10 of his 11 touchdowns have come with the Lions either tied or leading, which is pretty interesting. So, and both of the times he scored in the second half, the Lions have been ahead by multiple touchdowns. So just a little interesting tidbit there on Sam Laporta. I see his anytime touchdown at 5.5-1. We're at 5.25 per the model. It would be, again, one of those situations where we've got Montgomery, we've got Gibbs. We could almost cover ourselves in the red zone with Laporta, but you always have to worry about the sun god, Amon-Ra St. Brown, as well.
I'm a little concerned on Laporta just because his knee's still not right. He wasn't practicing Wednesday. He was limited. Again, it's hard to feel like we're in a spot where we're thinking the Lions are taking it easy on key players, but I would have enough concern with him there just because he is so banged up where, like you said, they were, tied or leading with a lot of his touchdowns, but how many were they up 3 scores was probably.
Exactly.
I don't know that you have that data, but you know what I'm saying. It's a different game.
No, I know exactly what you mean there. So, okay. Well, what about San Francisco's side of the ball? Because I'm not showing value on Brandon Ayuk at plus 165. I'm not showing value on Debo at 2-1.
What about your Purdy numbers? You got anything for him with the completions or yards or anything?
Yeah. So right now, Purdy's at 93 passing yards. I have projected for the full game 265.5. Now, the book out there, FanDuel is 294.5. I'm sure
Wow.
DraftKings is probably similar.
You
So
take
we're
that under?
pretty far under on that.
Yeah.
And it might jive with what you've said about Shanahan and about, just these trends and Purdy, while being good, not an elite quarterback. So what are your thoughts there, Simon?
He's got no rhythm. Like that's my biggest takeaway from this game is Detroit's done an amazing job never letting them get into a rhythm. And that's what the
Mhm.
49ers excel with. It's like the first 30 plays, Kyle Shanahan's game script is always so incredible. So usually, like we talk about, they get these leads at half and they got no worries in the second half because it's like, okay, all going according to plan. Now he's got to throw out the game plan, right? It's kind of like loose here, West Coast offense with Shanahan. It's like, okay, Purdy's going to be throwing the ball a lot. I don't know if he's going to be making a lot of completions. Like he's been struggling right now. And we already have one turnover from him. Like this guy, we've seen it this year when he throws to picks, they multiply, right? Those games midway through the season when he was throwing
Yep.
interceptions, they
Yep.
start multiplying because he starts forcing in these balls that we're not used to seeing Purdy throw. Because Purdy, he's a system quarterback, people. I know people hate when we say that, but it's like he is perfect for Shanahan's system. Like that's what makes him so special. It's like he's only going to keep getting better in this system, but now they have to get outside that system. This is when he struggles. And now they're outside the system, right? The guy is down 3 scores. He's going to be needed throwing the ball down the field. So,
Billy,
yeah,
I'm curious your thoughts on it because you know your Lions defense, your team there. We're showing like DraftKings is 298.5, and we're showing for the model 265.5, 266. So what are your thoughts on Purdy passing yards?
Yeah, I see why the value is on the under. I'm a little scared of it though. Like
Yeah.
I agree with everything Simon said. He's people take system quarterback to be an insult, and I don't necessarily think that it should be all the time,
yeah,
right?
it's
Like
not.
Right.
he's
Yeah.
not Patrick Mahomes. He's good at what he does, specifically what he does. With that said, just the way they came out in the second half against Green Bay, whatever adjustments they made last week, were they rusty coming out of their, basically 2 weeks off at the end of the season? Is it halftime adjustments from a good offensive coach that are making a difference? That stuff's hard to model. Like, I'm definitely not saying I want to take the over, but it scares me a little bit on the under. If we wanted to go under, I would think more attempts or completions, just because I'm scared the Lions get burned deep. They're actually fairly good at completion percentage against. They're one of the better teams in terms of not
Mhm.
allowing you to catch the ball. But when they get beat, they're huge plays. So if you wanted to go pretty under, I would more like those kind of stats versus the yardage would be how I'm
Well,
looking at it.
yeah, no, this is great because Purdy right now he's 7 for 15. We're projecting 13 more completions, which would be 20. Uh, FanDuel has 22. DraftKings, as far as completions, has 22.5. Yeah, both have 22.5. And DraftKings actually has
Money.
plus money and FanDuel both have plus money to the
Yeah.
under on 22. Now, a little caveat, of course, San Francisco does start with the ball here. This might be one we want to look at after this first drive, right? See where things stand because San Francisco does have the, or partway through this drive. Because once we get maybe towards like the midpoint of the drive, that's kind of where the model is the most accurate. So this is one I like. I think we should keep an eye on, but maybe we go a little long through halftime here and just check the first couple plays of this drive and revisit that Purdy under on his completions. So
Where are you at
I
on attempts though for Purdy?
attempts. So we're seeing 37.5 at DraftKings.
The line.
I have for attempts 34.
See, I think I like that better than completions because
Mhm.
if he does throw the ball down the field and they score, while it's Purdy playing well, it's still taking away from the total number of attempts he's going to get. And if he's not playing well, they're going to lose the ball
Yeah.
faster and not get I would
And
lean
this is
that
one
way.
actually, I would agree with you. I think this is one where we would want to take it sooner rather than later because as the game goes further, as San Francisco continues to trail, especially if they don't close it up, the attempts are more likely to catch up. Whereas they could still run the ball a little bit here on these first drive or two. So this is one I actually rather bite on sooner than later if you guys are in agreement.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think,
I just
Simon?
want to know before we go, Nick, give me one more time the implied odds of Detroit winning this game right now.
The implied odds based off the money line
Give it
are
to me.
77% Detroit, 23% San Francisco. How's
Come
that
on,
sound to you?
Detroit. Come on.
So, Billy, we're gonna take that under on Brock Purdy's 37.5 passing attempts. So you can get that under 37.5 at DraftKings. Make sure to shop around and see what else you have. But under 37.5 passing attempts. Now, again, our model says San Francisco is going to pass more than expectation, but at the same time, just the number of plays that are left aren't enough, and they still have the potential to run the ball as the favored team here. If they score on this possession, especially if they have a couple rushes here and then score in this possession, they don't have to force the throw. So we're going to take Brock Purdy under 37.5 passing attempts as our next bet here on Bet What Happens Live. And we are coming back from halftime. So either of you, if you have any other bets you want to look at, what do you think? And then I'll take one quick peruse of chat.
All right, so real quick, just for anyone who has ESPN, Purdy attempts was 38.5 there, minus 125, so probably about the same EV, but just throwing that out.
Pretty close.
And then the only other one, Aiden Hutchinson over half sacks is plus money at ESPN as well, plus 110. It feels like, and this might be more of a Simon question, he's been right there all game, it feels like. If we're expecting San Francisco to throw the ball more, probably throw the ball more down the field on deeper dropbacks. Do we think Aiden Hutchinson gets home on one of these? I know plus 110 isn't great on an individual player, but
no, but that's very telling though, right? That they have it that low. That it's pretty interesting. The book would have it that low, where it's like normally I wouldn't bet that, but the fact they have it at plus 110, I'll throw a little taste on it.
There we go. So it was Aiden Hutchinson over, what was it? Half a sack at plus 110. We are going to take, I don't have an in-game player prop model for that,
no,
but hey, the football guys like it, Simon and Billy. So that's going to be our last bet here on Bet What Happens Live for this game. Just to recap, we've got McCaffrey over 6.5 receptions, over on his rushing plus receiving yards, Ayuk under on 69.5 receiving yards. We've got the Detroit running back duo, anytime touchdown, plus 370, plus 400 on Monty and Gibbs, half unit each. And then we took Purdy under his passing attempts. And finally, Aiden Hutchinson over half a sack. So got a lot of stuff to sweat here for the second half. Billy, good luck to your Lions. Simon, good luck to your Lions, I guess, today too. That, you're on them. So that is going to do it for Bet What Happens Live. But hey, there is one more Bet What Happens Live this year. We made some good money on Bet What Happens Live this year in the playoffs. If you want to make money, instead of watching Usher, you can watch us. And last chance to bet the NFL all year. So we're going to sign off here. Good luck with your bets, everybody. Enjoy the second half, and we'll see you one more time for the big game.